Hi guys and welcome to Gaming Watcher. My name is Rolson and in this video I'll give you a complete guide for the dungeon Pit of Heresy in Destiny 2. I'll go through every encounter and everything you need to know in this video, and by the end I'll also go through the lore of this dungeon and why it's absolutely crucial to the story of Destiny, so if you want to, stick around for that. The Pit of Heresy, the POH, the PUH, or just Pit, was a dungeon introduced with the Shadowkeep expansion. It contains some pretty fun encounters, a jumping puzzle and an awesome boss fight at the end. The final boss fight is a very good source of fully masterworked armor pieces and is as of now a pinnacle activity awarding pinnacle gear, which is all the more reason to give it a visit every now and then. It's a 3-man activity with no matchmaking, so you'll have to join a fireteam through the LFG forum on bungie.net. It's pretty easy to find a team going into the pit at all times. Or of course you can play it with your friends if you have any, which I'm guessing most of you don't, so no, I'm kidding guys, I'm sure you're all very cool. So anyways, let's get into it. The way you get into the dungeon is by selecting it on the moon map in your director. You will then spawn into the Scarlet Keep in front of the big green crystal. The pit is right beneath the green crystal, so just go over and stand by it until you suddenly fall down. The first room you get into is this large, I wanna say wall, with some big towers on it. The first thing you need to do is to put down a raid banner. Always put down a raid banner.
Do it! Just do it!
Then you need to find out which of the towers that you need to visit. Every tower has a symbol, and to find out which symbols you're looking for, simply drop down from the cliff you're standing on and go into the first tower. Here you'll see 3 symbols in the end wall. These are the 3 symbols you're looking for. So then you find the towers with these symbols on them. In each tower there is a tough enemy that you have to kill. One is a knight, one is a witch, and one is a shrieker. These enemies will be immune to all damage except for damage from Hive Knight swords. So you have to find a Hive Knight and kill it to get its sword before going into any of these towers. And no, you can't kill the knight in the tower with his own sword, because you would have to already have a sword to kill him in the first place, and if you had killed him for his sword, then you can't kill him with the sword because then he's already dead. You see? It makes absolutely no sense. Why would you say something like that? Jesus Christ! Anyways, these Hive Knight swords in the Pit of Heresy have 3 different attacks, and each enemy can only be killed with one of these attacks. The Knight can only be killed with the light attack, the Witch can only be killed with the heavy attack, and the Shrieker with the block. Yes, you're actually going to block this thing to death. When you block, you reflect the shots it fires at you right back in its big ugly eye. So once the 3 towers are cleared, a door will open and you'll get a loot cache. Go get the loot and continue to the next encounter. On the way you will encounter a large wall with a lot of doors on it. If you are here to do the xenophage quest, you need to find the door on this wall with no symbol on it and go to it. Also, if that's the case, watch my xenophage guide. But if you're not, then you should just ignore this wall and continue straight into the crack in the wall just to the right of the broken bridge you're standing on. Now you will end up in a space with 3 corridors. This is actually the second encounter of the pit. In this encounter you have to avoid the unkillable ogres roaming the corridors while looking for Hive Knights. You find the knights inside the walls by crouching into these small openings covered with some sort of hive goo. Melee that shit and get in there. Yeah, just fist those hive goo holes. Get right in there. Okay, so once you're inside you have to look for the knights, and when you find them you will have to go and ask them on a date. No, I'm just kidding, you have to kill them. They drop orbs, and these orbs should be banked at the very end of the corridors, 1 in each corridor. Once this is done, the corridors will open up and you can continue to the next encounter. So in this encounter, the first thing you should do is put down a raid banner. Always put down a raid banner.
Just do it!
When this is done, you're ready to open the gate. You do this by destroying the 6 hive runes on the gate. You do this by dunking orbs in the receiver by the gate. You get the orbs by killing the knights that appear in the 3 entrances to the room. What is important to be aware of here is that there is an invisible timer. You are all hit by a debuff that stacks up to 10, at which time it wipes the team. So what you have to do is stand on the big plate in front of the gate. This keeps the team from wiping. The problem is that there are freaking hordes of enemies coming at the plate at all times, so keeping yourself alive while standing there is no easy task. It's important that one person stays on top of this at all times, or at least very close to it, and step on it every now and then. Some teams do a rotation every time an orb is dunked. Personally, I've always just assigned a Titan or a Warlock for the spot, and then it's just very important for them to call out if they are killed so someone can come and rest them. Kill knights, dunk orbs, stand on the plate. When the 6 orbs have been dunked, the gate is opened and you get another chest. Now you come to the jumping part of the dungeon. This fight is against the worst foe in all of Destiny, the Architects. In any case, you'll find yourself in the Harrows, which is a transition zone. This can be downright frustrating if you're clumsy, so try to play it safe. The reason why you want to be very careful in the Harrows is because of all the traps. You've got pendulum morning stars, rolling spiked logs, a deadly fall, and several adds along the way. The objective here is to eliminate the adds, especially the wizards, guiding the various pathways with the corresponding runic symbol to the 3 symbols you see when you just got down through the meat grinder. Killing all of these will let you proceed to the final area. So now you have reached the final boss. Now you will face Solmak, the instrument of torment. And now, kids, what was the first thing we must always do in any encounter?
Do it! Just
In this encounter you will use all the mechanics from the previous encounters in combination. To get to the damage phase you will have to dunk 3 orbs in the receptacles around the middle area. To get these orbs you have to kill the same 3 enemies as in the very first encounter, the Knight, the Witch and the Shrieker. This is done in exactly the same way as before. There are Hive Knights running around in the middle area, kill them and take the swords to go slay these 3 enemies. Dunk the orbs to go into the damage phase. Before you dunk the last orb though, be sure to clear adds in area so you aren't swarmed. Once you dunk the last orb and the damage phase starts, you have to stand inside the ring with the big crystal in the middle. This will give you a buff that allows you to damage Solmak. Damage phase is around 30 seconds, which is plenty of time to do damage. Just be aware of the cursed thralls coming at you. They can really mess up your damage phase if not taken care of. Usually we assign one person to take care of those. The rest of the team should just focus on doing damage for the whole phase. Best TPS for this encounter is either Izanagi's Burden, Whisper of the Worm, Xenophage or grenade launchers like Wendigo, Swarm of the Raven or Love and Death. Divinity is also nice for this encounter. Warlock should use Well of Radiance with Lunar Faction boots, Titans should run Melting Point with Peregrine Greaves or Bubble with Helm of Saint 14. The Hunters can go with Tether plus Orpheus Rig or Golden Gun with Celestial Nighthawk. Once the damage phase is over, you will have to do the whole thing again until he is down. Solmak can pretty easily be two-faced. Once he's down, you get the final chest and your pinnacle rewards. Congrats! You made it, Guardian. You're the best. You're a winner. You're probably really cool. So now for the lore part as promised. So first of all, let's clear up what heresy actually means. Heresy means belief or opinion contrary to orthodox religious doctrine, especially the Christian one. The religion in this case is the highest religion, the sword logic, and so the name of this dungeon tells us a lot about the lore actually. It is a pit of people defying the sword logic. This is exactly what is happening in the story of Solmak, the final boss. Apparently Solmak was a champion of the Hive that used to fight in the pit to ascend and in time take the place of Oryx himself. But he was deceived by the daughters of Crota because they felt he was a threat to their grandfather, Oryx. His death was the first act of heresy because according to the sword logic, this kind of assassination is unworthy. So why are we fighting Solmak in the pit? Well, after we killed the two daughters of Crota, Hasladun in the Scarlet Keep strike and Besurith in the story mission called In the Deep, the remaining daughters, Kinox and Vosher, went into hiding in the pit. Here they began sacrificing nightmares to harvest their phantasmal darkness into a crystal for a necromantic revival of Solmak, bringing the former champion back as an undead weapon empowered with the darkness of the nightmares to face the Guardians. This was the second act of heresy in the pit, as within the sword logic, once you're dead, you deserve to stay dead. The actions created seismic activity, however, that drew the Guardians' attention into the pit, where they confronted the undead Solmak. Though he was met with death a second time, Kinox and Vosher would remain to continuously revive the fallen Solmak in their rejection of the sword logic. But the real interesting part that is important for the future story of Destiny is this. It was actually the Witch Queen herself, Savathun, that gave the two sisters Solmak's essence so that they could resurrect him in the first place and so that he could be bound to their will. And why would she do this, you might ask? We don't know for sure, but it's hinted at in the lore book Apocrypha, where it is said that Savathun has a greater scheme and that the real reason she let them resurrect Solmak was actually to lure the Guardians down into the pit to slaughter the rest of the Hive swarm and thereby the last traces of Oryx. Savathun wants Oryx to be past and forgotten so she can form a new future for the Hive as the Witch Queen. I guess we'll see much more of how this plays out in the 2021 expansion, The Witch Queen. If you want to join me and other gaming watchers, feel free to join the Discord, there's a link in the description. And if you found this video helpful, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel, that really means the world to me. As always guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.